always important. Don't ever underestimate the power of the significant other or extended on that offer. Once they've accepted the offer, guys, your job is not done. Sorry for you. It's not done yet. Because once the candidate has accepted the offer, he's not going to hand in his resignation where he is. And this becomes the most dangerous period. Counter offers are real. You need to keep in touch with that candidate throughout their notice period. Phone them every week. How's it going? Have you handed in your notice? Because the moment you hand in your notice, it gets very uncomfortable where you are working currently. People can be funny. People can be horrible to you. So you need to make sure that you keep in touch. You keep closing the loop. You keep them engaged. And again, it's your brand. We can't wait to have you on board. Please phone me if there's any other questions you might have. Following week, you've got a week to go. I'm sure you've got like mixed feelings. We're so excited to see you. We can't wait. And this is really where induction and onboarding starts. And what we do is I send a little template, gearing up for the first day, again, representing my brand. And I say, we're so excited to have you join us on the 1st of August. This is where we're going to have your parkings allocated here. Please be at the office at 9:30. You're going to meet the HR manager. He has her name. He has her phone number. COVID. Please arrive with your mask. Important. A mask will be given to you by the company, and all that's really important as to how you expect them to show up. Tell them about their code of dress, what you expect them to be wearing on their first day, professional attire. Be there by 9 o'clock, and when they arrive, make sure that HR or whoever's there to meet them and take them through, because now you're going to start onboarding. And onboarding is you're going to spend time with them. You're going to spend time telling them about their company. You're going to tell them about the video. You can show them a video about your company. You need to fill in 1 million forms. So that needs to be absolutely seamless. Email address needs to be set up before they start. Computer needs to be ordered. Desk, chair. There is nothing worse than a candidate arriving and there's nothing for them to know where to sit. There's no equipment for them to start, because immediately then all the hard work that you've done is undone in one day. And there's a lot of research around getting onboarding wrong. That candidates will leave within 3 to 6 months if you do not onboard them correctly. So first day, remember, have everything ready, IT email address, sit them down, show them the office. Please show them where the kitchen is, where the bathrooms are, so that they feel comfortable on their first day. But, and I'm coming into the end of talking so you can get prepared with your questions. Once that person starts, remember that they feel really out of place. And the excitement of starting a new job is what we call the honeymoon phase. And it lasts about 6 weeks for a new hire. So they come in feeling excited every day. Ladies, you go and have your hair done before you start the new job. You go and you buy yourself some new clothes. You get your nails done. Gentlemen, you go and you get your new shoes, a new suit, new tie. You get yourself shaved up nicely and your hair done. That's the honeymoon phase, right? First 6 weeks, excited to get to work. But what happens in the first 4 to 6 weeks, you've got to watch really carefully. Because in the first 4 to 6 weeks, what people realize is that in their new environment, they have no emotional support. So think about the companies you all work with now. And I'll talk about onboarding remotely now as well. Companies now, if you're having a bad day, you have a friend, you have a colleague, and you can send them an email or phone them and say, I'm having the most revolting day, and Mary said this, and I'm supposed to do that. The new hire does not have that infrastructure. So they can begin to feel very, very left out. They can begin to feel very, very upset and start to feel disjointed. So you've got to be on top of it. You've got to keep checking in with your new hire. How's it going? How did you find your meetings with the managers? How did you find this? Is everything working? Is your laptop okay? Your email address? And all of those things is vitally important. to onboard while somebody is still remote. So if your offices are not open, it's literally a case of setting up a sequence of meetings, setting up your Zooms, setting up however you're going to do it. HR needs to be there and going through company policies, company processes, setting up the meetings with each manager, be there, watch their faces, pick up on any facial cues that they didn't understand, follow up with them at the end of each day when you're onboarding remotely. How was your day? How did you find it? What more support do you need from me? 3 times a week at least, HR, when you're onboarding remotely, is to check in all the time. Because when you're onboarding and everybody's still remote, they're not getting the pulse of the company that we're used to. They're getting it from their homes. They're not understanding the pace. So you need to be in touch, because the last thing you want in the first month is your frustrated new hire because they didn't have the equipment, for them to feel disengaged. Because what that does is it makes people think I've made a mistake. And you've taken this long. You've gone through all those processes, interviews, assessments, offer management, closing, getting them across the line, getting them ready. You've got to pick up on those cues for at least the first 3 months to make sure that they are settled, that they know where to find their pay slips, that you're checking in with them constantly. And that is actually how you manage to get people across the board and settled into your organization. So that's recruitment. Are there any questions on recruitment before I talk about the trend that we're seeing in what we're coming out of COVID now? And what,
yes, there's a question. There's a question here, and Victor would like to know if it's prudent for you to add a job description to the email you send to the candidates for the interview.
100%. So on that tag, you put in the job description, 100%. JD goes with it. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
The JD goes with it. Just something to remember as well, if you are going to advertise the role, advertising a full JD is not going to win you candidates. They read the first line, who to contact. So you're going to waste all your time. So when you're going to take a JD and make it into an advert, it shouldn't be longer than 10 lines. But you do attach the job description, okay. Absolutely, 100%. Good point.
Okay. There are a few other questions. I don't know if I should take them now. I should allow you to go on. Would you want me to read them out to you?
All right, I can read them out.
So, okay. So, we're asking, how do we deal with depression and loneliness post-COVID with new entrants, especially that you already do not know them and you're just getting to know them remotely, so you can't even really tell, the ups and downs with them. How do you support them?
So that's exactly it. So let's say you're on board, it's my first day. I'm expecting a call with HR to say welcome and go through the onboarding. That's why when you're onboarding remotely, to stop them feeling lonely, HR needs to check in on them in the first week, probably every day at the end of the day. How was your day? Did you meet who they were? What did you think of your new manager that you remotely? What did you think of Mary in marketing? What did you think of Albert in finance? Next day, first thing in the morning, email, good morning, welcome to your second day. The first week, every single day, you need to keep in touch with them. The following week, you know what, I can't overemphasize it, over-communicate rather than under-communicate, 100%.
Right.
Over-communicate, because they need to get up to speed very quickly. And the only way you can do that is to keep them engaged on a daily basis and pick up any issues that they might be having and resolve them very quickly.
Okay, perfect. Now, how, in your view, how essential will counseling and collaboration be for remote new entrants?
Sorry, how?
At what point would HR need to offer counseling and collaborative services for new entrants?
From the get-go. So when they arrive, you tell them what HR offers. And so something we did during COVID times is the real bad COVID times, where everybody was remote. We've opened our offices up slightly. Is we used to have a COVID cafe once a week. And I would continue to do that. And especially for the new hire, invite them to the COVID cafe talk. And that can be talking about fears, people coming back to the office, and get the staff member into those informal channels of chats. And also an introduction for him to meet the team. Do it every week. Don't forget Albert sitting in finance. Let's have a discussion. Albert, we have a COVID call on a Thursday. Please come and join in. You will find out, and what we do as well is we did a lot of employment engagement surveys to just check the mood of the staff at all times during the COVID crisis. And still now we're doing it. And with your new hire, even at the end of the day, don't be embarrassed to phone them and say, how was your day? And you're going to pick up very quickly if they're feeling low. And counseling should be something that's there for your staff anyway, because you do start isolated or you do start to feel burnt out. So offer that to your new hire from the get-go, without a shadow of a doubt. That HR is there, we have this on a Wednesday, and it's also healthy to literally include that. As I said, we call it a COVID cafe. You can call it whatever you like, but it should be run once a week still, especially when there's so much stuff in the news, so that the truth comes from HR directly in keeping everybody on the line of the truth of what information is coming out. The questions at this time before I start the trend.
Perfect. I think one last one before we just go on. There's a question: should emphasis be on recruiting tech-savvy candidates, since most organizations are having to work remote? Now, what do you do if you find an ideal candidate, yet that individual lacks, the basic tools in terms of handling all the technology that we're having to use for remote working?
So let's be honest. How many of us had any skills on remote working?
Nobody. Absolutely none.
When COVID hits, nobody. So when you just need to sensitize your new hire to say, if you've never worked remotely, so somebody who maybe hasn't worked before, tell them, find a comfortable place at home. Do not work on your bed. By the end of the day, you're going to have a very sore neck, and you're going to be very stiff. Pull up a table and a chair. Find a safe space that's your working environment. Take lunch times. You're allowed to. You don't have to work for 12 hours a day. So that engagement piece as to how you got your staff onto remote working, and that in itself, we did a massive upskill on, stand-ups in the morning. Hello, good morning, everybody. We still do it. Everybody in the morning. Good morning. Then everybody tells us we're going on lunch, goodbye, or I need to feed the children, cherry ho. So that the staff member also gets into the run of things. It all depends on what central platform you're running a communication centrally. If it's an email to everybody, get that staff member into that cycle very, very quickly. Remote working at this point in time, people are getting used to it. People are getting better at it. The only advice I would give is that people are burning out because they're not taking their lunch breaks and they're not stopping work at 5 o'clock. So encourage your new hire. Please take lunch at 1 o'clock. 5 o'clock, we'll have a stand down. Everybody gets on the call. Everybody wishes each other good nights. Bonsoir. See you in the morning. That's how you keep people engaged and motivated during the day. Stand-ups in the morning, stand-ups or stand-downs in the evening to keep staff understanding. And then an employee engagement survey that says, who's coping? Who's not coping? Who's battling? Who feels that they need more assistance? And that's where HR comes in and becomes very important.
Okay.
That's
very good.
Yeah. So
there's a question here, but I think you answered it already, though. Someone was asking if she needs to bundle all the CVs that have been shortlisted in one email to the recruiting manager or one CV to one email. I think you just say that we need to send them a single email, right?
All the shortlisted CVs, and you should never send more than 7 at max. Don't send 20 CVs. That's not shortlisting. Shortlisting is a maximum of 7 CVs because you've done the work.
Okay.
7. So 20. If there's more than 10, you haven't done your job. Maximum of 7, 1 email, 7 attachments to the hiring manager. Because it's not his job to shortlist, it's our job to shortlist. It's not the manager's job. He's just going to get frustrated. 1 email, shortlisted CVs, done. Okay.
Yes, perfect. Okay, you can go on now.
Okay, so trends that we're seeing in terms of what kind of jobs are people wanting to hire for post-COVID or coming out of COVID. We have seen a massive increase in data scientists, business analysts, and BI, business information. Those 3 right now are the most requested roles on the continent. And then you have to ask yourself, well, that's odd. Why? So we've done a deep dive and we've looked at it. And the reason for that is companies coming out of the COVID crisis need to maximize on their data to understand which way to pivot their businesses to become profitable again really quickly. And those 3 disciplines, BA, BI, data scientists, are able to interpret the data as to what the market is doing, where the market is going. And those are the future roles that are going to be in very, very high demand on this continent moving forward. And the other increase we've seen is HR. So those are the 4. And the increase in HR is because this is all to do with people. How do I hire correctly? How do I keep my staff happy? How do I keep people engaged? How do I keep my finger on the pulse? That's us. That's HR. And the 3 biggest ones coming out, BI, BA, data scientists, without a doubt. Now, your biggest problem is there's not enough BA, BI, and data scientists to go around. I'm hiring at the moment data scientists. If you think about it, data science is only 5 years old. It's not an old skill, it's pretty new. So I would look internally to see whether you can upskill people. So your quants of the world or your highly skilled people who can quantify data and make sense of it, those are the skills that are coming out as the leading skills that people are looking for post-COVID, without a doubt. Any questions or scenarios you would like to put to me? Any questions? Nothing on hiring, nothing on assessments. What are you having trouble hiring for at the moment? Maybe I can help you talk you through that. Is anybody having issues hiring at the moment?
So if you have a question, please just go ahead and ask. There's a hand up here. Please ask your question. I see a hand up. I can't find a name, so please just ask.
Just unmute.
I see your hand up. Go ahead. Unmute your microphone and ask. There's a hand raised. Can you just unmute and ask? Yes, Danny. Danny, unmute your microphone. You've turned on your video instead.
Hello, Cynthia. Can I ask my question?
Yes, Laurisha, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I see a lot of ads going also for virtual assistants, virtual support and all of that. I wanted to know how it's going so far from the analysis you've made with the mosaic skills during this time and also for post-COVID, and also want to know how really those positions are effective.
So you're talking about virtual assistants?
Yes, please.
So virtual assistants, operational excellence, and it's not going well. Let me tell you why. A virtual assistant sits, and a virtual assistant does a multiple of things. The only time a virtual assistant works really, really well is if they have a clear-cut requirement as to what they need to do. So if you hire a virtual assistant to be a project manager, that's fine. Project managers are quite happy at being able to do that. The other role of the virtual assistant, it needs to be defined as to what that virtual assistant will do. The problem we have is that people have only been working remotely for 3 months. So I've seen it work and I've seen it fail quite quickly. If the virtual assistant is told, I need you to do A, B, and be specific around what requirements you need, you'll be successful on virtual assistants, because they know exactly what is required of them. Otherwise, you're going to hire a virtual assistant who's going to deal with one thing a day. It's going to cost you money and they're not going to be effective. So I've seen the requests coming through. You need to be very specific as to what that virtual assistant is going to do and who they report to. So you can't have a virtual assistant reporting to 10 chiefs, because then where's the priority for the virtual assistant? So if you're going to hire a virtual assistant, the things you need to look for in a virtual assistant is, can they prioritize tasks? So if 10 people ask something of a virtual assistant, I would really deep dive to say, can they prioritize? Do they have an ability to find creative ways of problem solving? So being able to find solutions. Those are the two most critical. And then obviously timeliness in delivery. So if you're going to hire them, those three are very, very important. And then clearly defined outcomes as to what you require of them. Very important. If you don't, it fails dismally. And priority setting for a virtual assistant is a non-negotiable. They need to be able to prioritize.
Okay. Thanks so much, Heather.
Pleasure.
So Abigail has a question as well. Abigail, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's quite refreshing for me. And my question is, if you hire during this COVID, and how do you manage someone who needs all the things in the office? Tells you, I want a desk, I want a chair, everything that we have in the office, I want it in my house. How do you manage such a person? Should you go ahead and provide all that? Or is there a way to convince the person? Or you visit home to check whether there is something? How do you manage it? Thank you.
Abigail, that's a very good question. So let me tell you what we did. So some of the people we've hired during COVID, we've said to them, what is your home environment like? Do you have a desk? We've asked them, do you have a desk? Do you not have a desk? Do you have a comfortable, do you have a chair? Do you not have a chair? And some people don't. Some people live in a tiny little flat, and we have given them a chair and a desk and a computer. We've done it. The only thing, obviously, is that we've built a policy around it. So policy important to say that you're allowed to take the chair, the desk, the computer, but it remains the property of the company. So we have done it, Abigail, 100%, because actually not everybody was set up for this at all. And like I said to my one colleague, just don't work from your bed. It is the most uncomfortable thing to sit on all day. So we have, Abigail, given a desk and a chair to staff. Yes, we have.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much.
You want them to be happy and you want them to be productive. And sometimes just a chair and a desk is going to give them that. So yes, we've done it with the policy. Don't forget the policy that says, and sign it out. It's an asset that it's going to Abigail's house, and she's got this and she's got this until such time as it come back. At the office, it's just collecting dust anyway. So we have done it, yes.
Very well said, Heather. Let me see. I think I saw another hand, but now I think maybe you answered the person's question along the side, so they put down their hands. Now, Heather, how do we foster deliberate collaboration between our old teams and the new people that we are bringing on board?
So the only way to do that, and I don't know how you're running your companies at the moment. So let me tell you the best way to do it. We still have stand-ups and stand-downs every day. The stand-up in the morning is just to say hello. Still now, even now, and we've got 25% of our workforce back at work already. Every morning a stand-up, every evening a stand-down. It's not to check if you're working. It's to say good night, like you would when you leave an office. So the sooner you get the new guy onto those calls and the new guy onto those ways of working is the best way to get him into the routine of what's happening. In the beginning, he may be a little bit shy, or she may be a little bit shy, but honestly, the only way to keep the collaboration going is the whole company or department still at 8:30 in the morning, we all hop on. We go, good morning, how are you? Like your hair, you look pretty, you look tired, did you get some sleep? Just as we would at work, exactly the same. New staff member on those calls, big introductions, rounds of applause and welcome. 5 o'clock, we all get back on a call and we wish everybody a safe and pleasant evening and blessings to their family and have a good dinner, wash your hands, get some rest. Every single day, we still do it. So that we haven't changed the normal morning greeting at work and the normal evening greeting when you leave. We're just doing it virtually. And just get your guys into those meetings all the time. And you know what? It's not an hour. It's a 10-minute slot at 5 o'clock. We slot them in for 15 minutes at 5 o'clock with relevant team members, and we say hello and goodbye. My situation is slightly different. I'm working against different time zones. I've got East Africa an hour ahead of me. I've got Nigeria an hour behind me, and Ghana and Senegal 2 hours behind me. So I sometimes am working until 7 o'clock, but that's the role that I have. So I often say to my Senegalese guys at 7 o'clock my time and Ghana at 5 o'clock their time, good night, everybody. Have a pleasant evening. Rest well. Stop working. The work will be there tomorrow. So to get your new hire into that way of working, we do it. And some evenings we even have a virtual dinner once a month. We get together and we all sit together and we have dinner, break bread.
That's awesome. Very awesome.
Right.
So I think I have Fidelia. Fidelia may have a question for you. Fidelia, you can go ahead.
Hi, the question I have is relating to providing equipments for remote workers. Is there any possibility that if an organization is not financially able to provide those things, to do a hybrid where some of these employees can go in and some can, work remotely? Will it, because I know that some organizations financially are struggling right now to go out and provide those things, whereas they have those things already in an office building that nobody is using it.
100%. So when we looked at it, we looked at the people that were at the highest risk of traveling, and those people. So I'll give you an example. If people were able to come into the office, they had their own cars. They weren't going to be driving in or coming in by taxi. We encourage them to come back to the office. And the computer equipment is then at the office. For those people that were at the highest risk of maybe coming in by a taxi, getting into a lot of other areas where they could pick up the disease along the way, we left them at home. So we did a deep dive we asked the question, how do you get to work every day? And in some instances, we've actually got a bus running now in Nigeria, where we've actually got our own bus. We're collecting our staff, we're bringing them in. The bus is disinfected every day. So 100%. Ask the question though, is, you don't want somebody who's high risk, who's maybe catching 4 or 5 different buses or taxis to get in, to be coming in. If they can work at home, leave them there. Those that can be at the office, 100% let them come in. And we've got 25% of our workforce is back at the office.
Good, good. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Do you love your hat? It's beautiful. You're very pretty. You look very, very, very pretty. Your microphone's off, but you look really gorgeous.
Thank you. My summer color.
It's beautiful.
Right. Well, we have a question from Danny Salom.
Yeah.
Hi, Danny.
Yes,
go ahead and ask.
Okay, so
yes.
I want to find out from Hita. The issue of presenteeism. Where your workers pretend to be working. They pretend to be at post working, and then actually they are not working. How do you keep that? How do you monitor and correct that? Because having the early morning good morning or the greetings in the morning,
and then they stop and go to bed and watch TV, right?
Exactly. So having the good morning greetings and then the greetings at the end of the work does not mean that the person is really working or the person was really working. So how do you keep or monitor to avoid presenteeism in remote working? Thank you.
So it speaks to something I spoke about the last time, but it's very, very valid. So in the morning, manager, you sit with them and you do your PPP, problems, plans, progress, problems, and you contract with them on the Monday morning, and you say, right, what are you going to do this week? Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, right? On the Friday, you see whether it's been done. And let me tell you now that somebody who is slacking off during the day is not going to have done that, 100%. If you think you've got a staff member who is slacking during the day, WhatsApp call them anytime. These little things are great. Video call and see if they answer. If they don't answer, it's probably because they're scrambling out of bed or they're asleep. Or as they answer, you're going to see what they look like. So it's not a checking mechanism, but I would definitely WhatsApp call them just to say, hi, how are you doing? You said you were going to do this late. Give them deadlines. You want this on a Tuesday, you want this on a Wednesday, you need that by the Thursday. So you can monitor whether they're working or not. And if you have a suspicion, video call. Just video call. If they call looking all disheveled, they were asleep. Plans, progress, problems. Contracted at the beginning of the week. And then if you have a suspicion, just video call on WhatsApp. You're just checking in how you're doing. If they don't answer, you have to ask yourself why. I sit here every day at this desk from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. I have 2 computers. I have the one I'm talking to you on, and I have another one next to me, and my phone is right next to me all the time. Why? Because I am on Zoom calls on this computer, I'm doing work on the computer, and I've got staff phoning me on this computer all day. And you can set that as a standard for what you want for your guys. Guys, your phones need to be on you, because if it's a customer calling, you need to answer your phone. So that's the only way you're going to do it. Yeah.
Right. I have another hand here. Can you please go ahead, because I can't find a name for you. If you've raised your hand, please just go ahead with your question, please.
All right. I have a question.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Aminu speaking.
Hello, Aminu.
Okay, Aminu.
All right. So I would want to find out how is it appropriate for an employer to employ someone virtual for a new location. And in fact, all the team members are new. Orientation is done virtual. Everything is provided in the office for the team to report. I'd want to find out if that is possible. If it is possible, how is the employer effectively implementing that? And how would the new person reporting at this new location effectively implement whatever is expected for him to?
So let me just understand the question. Are you talking about new members being brought together virtually, or are you talking about new members arriving at a new location virtually?
The fellow is employed new.
New employer.
Yes, newly employed for a new location.
When you say a new,
we start there fresh.
So
The entire team is new to the business.
all of them are new.
All of are new. Also,
yeah.
business to be implemented by that particular organization. Yet orientation is done virtual. And this team is to go into that location to implement. I would want to find out if that is possible. If it is possible, how effectively can an employer do that? And how is the person being hired, especially the manager, able to start the business effectively?
So the question I would ask is, what systems do you have in place to keep people connected virtually? So what I mean by that is, we run Slack channels. Does everybody know what Slack is?
Okay, so
it's going to depend.
Yes.
Okay. It's going to depend on what systems you have running, because email is not enough, and Zoom calls are not on all day. So a lot of it's going to depend on what internal systems you have running that you can keep people doing that. If I understand you correctly, to onboard a brand new team virtually, that are all brand new, you are going to have to go the extra mile, but you're going to have systems to support you. You have to have systems to support you. And what I mean by that is, Slack is something, it's just one of these communication channels where it's on the side of your computer all day and people can send messages and they can communicate. But what you're saying to me is a brand new team, brand new everything, on board.
Yes.
How big is the team? How big is the team?
7.
It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult because nobody knows anybody else. So I would do this. I would start by playing. Let me give you a scenario. Everybody meets virtually, everybody introduces themselves virtually, and everybody's fine. I would start to create some cohesiveness with the team quite quickly by implementing silly little, not silly, but games. Let me explain. So they all meet virtually, and then on the Wednesday, you say to them, I want you all to send a picture of you when you were in high school. Okay? And the teams then virtually can try and match. And I would do a lot of that team building in the first 2 to 3 weeks so that people get to know each other on an informal level.
Okay.
So you can play Trivial Pursuit. You can play, send pictures of your wedding pictures, of your high school dance. People see each other virtually. They can vote depending on your system so that people get to know each other personally. And you start to do team building before you start to do anything else. That's the way you do it. Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay. Heather, hi. Heather, I also wanted to recommend Teams on Microsoft. Teams is also good for virtual, virtual employees to also get on there. If Slack is not something that people are comfortable with, they can also use Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, and it really, guys, you have to invest in this. It's very important. Emails is not enough. Microsoft Virtual Teams have done a tremendous job. We use Slack to keep people integrated. And also don't underestimate the power of getting people to know each other personally. And what you would normally do is team building, together in an office. There are a lot of games that you can play virtually at the moment where people get to know each other quite well, and it does foster a lot of good intent. And that also helps as well, especially with a new team, getting to know each other, just not on a business level, but personal. Yeah.
Heather, do we need more than the regular probationary period now that we're having to recruit people remotely?
So let's look at probation. Probation is there really to see a person who settles in. I will be honest with you, I'll tell you that yes. Look, if somebody's making it in 3 or 4 months and you can see the results, it's fine. But I've noticed in our organization that we've had to extend probation for a number of years. And it's not because they're not doing a good job. It's because we want to make sure that they are still comfortable enough to continue. And remote world, it's difficult. So what I do at the end of a normal probation period, so about 4 months into the probation, I do a 360 on that person, and I ask everybody to give me feedback as to how they're experiencing that person. How that helps me is I give that feedback back to the person to say, I think you can improve your communication skills. Everybody says you're late for meetings or whatever. So I'm keeping a pulse on them, which I would never have done before, but I'm doing it now. So 3 months in, I do a 360, how everybody's doing. Another 3 months coming, and in the 5th month, I do another one. And you know what? If they're good to go, they're fine. If we're still having issues, I've extended the probation by another 3 months, and I do another 360. But the only way to be fair is to get feedback from everybody that person's interacting with. 3 months in, you can correct the issues with that person. And it can be something as silly as please be on time for meetings. People feel that you're disrespectful. Please, your emails are people feel that your emails are very abrupt. And if you don't know that, so 360s during this time, remote working under these conditions, do them 3rd month in, 5th month in, and then decide. So yes, I have personally extended probations during this to make just to allow people to settle in a little bit easier. Yeah, because the cost of hiring again, guys, you don't want to go through it again. So find out what the little nigglies are and fix them quickly during probation. Yeah.
Right. So to bring you to a point you did mention where you were saying that it's prudent to share with the candidate the LinkedIn profile of the people that will sit on the panel. I'll tell you honestly, interviews in Ghana are much more of an ambush because a lot more of the senior managers do not want you to even give information that they are going to be present.
But
now,
why?
How would for some reason they wouldn't want you to tell the candidates that they are going to be there.
Okay, so
what kind of suggestions can you give to such people?
I'm going to flip it on its head, and I'm going to say to the manager, if you were going to interview right now, would you not want to know who you're going to meet? You are better prepared. A better prepared candidate is a interview. 100%. And that's the argument you've got to get over, is they need to know who you are. For all you know, that you might have gone to varsity with them. And something in common. So what have you got to hide? I'd flip it on its head and go, Mr. Manager, if you were being interviewed for a senior post and we were going to bring the regional heads in that you've never met, and it's a multinational corporate, Wouldn't you want to know? That's how I would do it, 100%. And you know what his answer will be? Well, I'd want to know who's meeting me. Better prepared is a better interview. 100.
Right.
They're entitled to know. They're entitled to know. It also brings up a richer conversation. If they know that this person's had a career here and a career there, they prepare for the interview and they can find common ground, have a discussion. I see you went to this university, so did I, or my mother did, or my aunt did. It creates a rapport. So they need to do it 100%. So this ambush, to what avail?
Absolutely.
It's my question. Horrible, horrible.
Thank you so much on that. I think that today we're lucky. I wouldn't want to keep you because I gave a promise. It's been an awesome one. I'm sure we have a lot of getaways. You know, saying that we needed to send that single email. For me, I think that a lot more people needed to hear that so they don't flood and bombard hiring managers, you know, and that's also, yes. And then, of course, sharing the LinkedIn of the people that we need to meet up with so that candidates are better prepared, especially now that we're doing a lot of remote recruitment.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, we need to streamline to just 7 shortlisted candidates. That shows how professional we are
not
in the
20.
job we're doing.
It's not shortlisting. Yeah. And then, of course, to use gamification as much as possible so that people can better collaborate and then relax. Of course, you've taken us through the headhunting. I'm just running through so that if anybody missed anything, this is a good time to catch Heather before she runs away. Don't forget offer management.
Yes, and don't. Yes. Now, Heather, you did say that we shouldn't, ideally cancel an interview. Now, if in a rare case scenario, let's say the CEO was supposed to be the one to do the interview, but something came up, we would necessarily have to. I'm sure that could be an exception to the rule, right?
It's an exception to the rule, but if and that is the absolute, normally it's a panel. So if one person I would still run the interview without that person. I would still keep the interview. Yeah. Again, how many dentist appointments can you have in a month? How many doctor's appointments do you have in a month?
You know.
The interviews, be fair, be real.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much. So I think that let me just run through before I call the session off. I don't want to have to fight anybody because sometimes people come back to fight me that they have questions.
Don't fight. Guys, like I said the last time, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. If you have questions, if you want, I did this the last time. If you want documentation from me, if you want a view on how to train your managers to be better, I've got the training material. Connect with LinkedIn. I will share it with you gladly. We're in this together. We're in this together.
You're so awesome, Heather. Thank you very much. And so on behalf of HR Network Africa, which you are a member of, we want to say a very big thank you, Heather, for your time, for the insights. It's so relieving to always have you right here because you have so much knowledge to share. And we're so grateful. I know that I've had to keep your whole family awake because it's pretty late.
And don't forget, as soon as the airports and we're flying again, I will be coming to Ghana again.
Awesome.
Accra, and hopefully we'll sit down and meet. Looking forward to it.
Definitely. We're going to have a live session when you do come. Definitely. Everyone wants to meet you, and so it will be an awesome moment.
Love to meet everybody. I think it would be great. Absolutely fantastic.
Right. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for joining us at the HR Bar. It's been a very awesome moment with Heather. She's Of course, as you know, a very top gun in HR, and she's always willing to share information, share knowledge. So always reach out to her if you have a question, or you can always reach out to us as well. And then we can, together collect the data for you. So thank you, everyone, from wherever you're joining us from.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, I see friends from the US, Dubai,
Thank you.
Emirates. Oh,
Bye.
Thank you.
South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Edna.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Be safe.
All right. Take care too. Be safe.
Practice all the protocols. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good night. We love you.
Good night. We love you too. Mwah.
Good night. I love you too.